today we have a very special guest. Her name is Erin, also known as Erin Not Karen.
Hi.
I was actually just going to kick things off by saying today we have a very special guest, but it reminded me of the happy birthday message at Happy Joe's. So I talked myself out of it. But yes, welcome, Erin. Excited
Thank
to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So Erin is an Iowa native as well, a social media manager by day, and the creative force behind Erin Not Karen by night. She is a passionate advocate for endometriosis awareness. She uses her platform to educate, empower, and connect with others who share similar struggles.
Beyond advocacy, Erin is a fashion lover, trend spotter, and all-around girl's girl, known for her effortlessly cool style and uplifting spirit. Whether she's sharing styling tips, navigating life's up and downs, or championing important conversations, Erin brings authenticity and heart to everything she does. Welcome, Erin.
We love a girl's girl.
Yes, and like many people, I mentioned this to you earlier today. I first followed you from your viral video that was essentially you screaming and cheering on your friend who was biking as fast as they could to get to the next bar. I think you guys were out in downtown Des Moines, and I remember thinking, this is the kind of energy that I need in my life.
That video was crazy. The way it just so it was my resurrection party is what I was calling it, because it was like the first time I was able to go out after like one of my surgeries that I had this summer. And so I just went out like with all my friends, and she was biking down Grand Avenue, and we like saw her, and so I just got out the window, like screaming at the top of my lungs. And it's at like on TikTok, it's at like 10 million views now, and like the Des Moines Register picked it up. It was crazy.
That's insane. So cool. Like, who knew that like one split second of you having the best night ever would turn into like something more?
It was just like a genuine react. Like, it was just a typical Friday night for like me and my friends. Like, it wasn't planned or anything. She just wanted to bike to Carl's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And something that you were thinking nothing of, just cheering on your friend. Obviously, a lot of people across the nation loved it about you as well.
Well, I appreciate it. I was very shocked, but it was awesome.
Everyone's like, I want to party with those bitches.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, most of your content is super fun and uplifting, but you've also been super open and vulnerable about your journey with endometriosis. Can you share a little bit about your journey with endometriosis from your diagnosis kind of to today, just in a summary?
Yeah, actually say what it is, because I'm guilty of not even knowing what it was before researching before this episode, actually. Like, I knew what it was, but not technically what caused it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So for those who might not be familiar, can you explain endometriosis a little?
Yes. So the technical definition is a disorder in which tissue similar to the tissue that lines the uterus grows outside the uterus in places where it doesn't belong. So basically, every month a woman is supposed to shed her lining, her tissue, and that tissue does not do that. It actually grows outside of the uterus and sticks to different organs. And a lot of people think that it's just like outside of the uterus. That's a very common misconception. It can actually grow clear up in your lungs. It can be on your diaphragm. It can be in your bowels, your appendix. Like, it can be everywhere. I would describe it like similar to cancer in a way, but it's just not looked at that way. But it's very much like, once it's in your body, it's microscopic, so you could have a ton of surgery and it kind of just stays there in a lot of cases.
Wow.
So my journey with it, when I was about 16, I started noticing some things were off. I started gaining a lot of weight. I started having really extremely heavy periods and just in a lot of pain. And I, at the time, thought this was just me developing into a woman. This is what it was supposed to be like. And then once I started graduating high school, getting into like my early 20s, that's when the pain really set in really hard. And so I started going to doctors, really trying to figure this out. And I went to like 5 different doctors. And I remember being 20 years old, not even having a diagnosis yet, and someone was telling me to have a hysterectomy. So
Wow.
the experience, yeah, like I remember walking out of the doctor's office and being like no diagnosis or anything, and they're telling me to either be on birth control for the rest of my life or have a hysterectomy at 20 years old. It was it was just insane. And so I finally found a doctor in Des Moines who works with specialists in Omaha. And that is where I officially got diagnosed when I was 21. So to get diagnosed, you have to go under surgery. There's no test that will, like an MRI, a CT, and nothing will show like endometriosis to its extent. So you have to have a laparoscopy and go in, and they will like do a full analysis of your entire abdomen. And they went in and like I say had the pleasure, and I don't know if it's the pleasure of, but it was really they had like videos and cameras and everything, so I could actually see the endometriosis. And I got diagnosed with stage 4 at age 21, and there are 4 stages. And I remember just thinking, wow, this is real. This isn't in my head. I'm not crazy. And to be able to like see photos as graphic as they were, but like to see the way I would describe it is like it looked like my entire abdomen was covered with black mold. And so to be able to like see that and to hear like a doctor from another state tell me that it was like a terrible case for someone of my age was so like affirming. If that's, it sounds a little weird, but it was so affirming. And so from there, they found it. And then 3 months later, I had an 8-hour long, another laparoscopy where she goes in. There are several different techniques, but she actually cut out every single piece of endometriosis and they sew it back up. So it was like 8 hours long. And then 2 weeks later, I had another surgery where they went back in and like made sure it was all gone and checked into like growing scar tissue. And then I kind of went on my way. And I had about 2 months where I was pain free, and then the pain came right back. And I remember just being like heartbroken and not knowing what to do. And again, these like my specialists are in Omaha. I went back to my doctor, and at the time, hormone injection treatments and everything they wanted to try was not covered by insurance. It was considered fertility treatment, which is a common problem that happens with women with endometriosis and PCOS and all of those kinds of diseases that need hormone treatments are looked often as like fertility treatments, even if you aren't trying to get pregnant. So at the time, being like 21 years old, I was like, I can't afford anything else. I just had 3 surgeries within the course of 3 months of each other. My body was tired. I was drained. I was continuing to gain weight. And so a huge thing that my doctors were wanting me to do is focus on diet and, you know, trying to work with that, because diet does like cause inflammation and can cause pain. But I knew deep down that, so, you know, something was still off. But I really just pushed through it for years. So from 22 to 29, so 6 years or 6 or 7 years, I just pushed through the pain, and went and built a career and just really tried to like live my life and thought that it would just go away. I just kind of was like, well, this is my life. So I don't want to have surgery again. I was really not wanting to have surgery again. And then this past summer, the pain got to an unbearable point, to the point where I went to the ER once, and they gave me fentanyl, and like it did nothing. If that paints a picture of like the level of pain. Yeah. Like pain meds they do absolutely nothing for it. And I was like throwing up in pain, like the pain I couldn't do it anymore. And so I decided to go back to my doctors this past year. And immediately there was like concern that it might be cancer. And just because of this, the severity of the pain was just so terrible. So they decided to go in and take a bunch of biopsies and look and see if it had grown back. Because when I first had the surgery, they were like 5% chance it'll grow back. That's kind of the statistic that they give you if you have that kind of in-depth surgery. And they went in and it was even worse than before. It was everywhere. It was on my diaphragm. It was in my appendix. It was like,
Wow.
if it was, yeah, it was just everywhere. We were like, okay, we're going to have surgery again. And sorry, it's kind of traumatic for me to talk. It's a little overwhelming. But I went up with my parents and I had a 17-hour surgery. That's how much endo was there.
Oh my gosh. 17 hours. Did you know going in it was going to be that long, or were your parents in the waiting room like, okay, what is happening?
Yeah, they were they were there the entire time just waiting. They thought it was going to be like 8 to 10 was the estimate, was like similar to before. And then she got in and it just was like, there was one spot where they thought it was going to be a fibroid and it was just a chunk of endo, like that had just like calcified. And so it just was absolutely everywhere. And then I also had to have my appendix out at the time because, it was everywhere. So I woke up and was just dying in pain. I mean, I was like, what has happened to my body?
They rummaged through your body.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt like I was so out of it that I look back and like feel like I was hallucinating. I went into surgery at 7 a.m. and I was not back to my hospital room until 1 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
And that entire time, like, I was just under. My parents, we were one of the first ones there in the morning, and they were the very last ones to leave.
Erin, how do people not know about this? I mean, it's insane to me that, even Lexi, you Googled it this morning.
Yeah.
I know somebody else affected, so that's how I was aware of what it is, but it's shocking that so many people and even women don't know what it is. Like, we expect men to not know what it is. We shouldn't, but we do. But that just goes to show you how much awareness is lacking. And obviously this affects millions and millions of women and people with uteruses. But
1 in every 10 women have it.
How many?
1 in every 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it often obviously goes undiagnosed or dismissed as bad periods because, like you said, you weren't sure like what's a normal period or how much pain are you having versus I'm having. And there's no way to know that.
Yeah. And they don't teach. I never, like, when they do health classes when you're a kid, never once did they mention endometriosis, PCOS, which is even more common, which is often like they're very affiliated with each other, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I also have that. Like, young girls are not even told how to properly track their cycle, like to know when you're ovulating. There are so many doctors that just don't even know how to treat it or have enough research behind it. One of my surgeons this past summer, one of the residents on my case, which if this isn't a testament to like women and their power and their strength, she was pregnant and she was in the 17-hour surgery. She was pregnant.
Wow.
And she was there the whole time.
It's insane.
And she was a resident and she decided to come back and be a surgical student again with this institute that I go to because she felt like she was fresh out of medical school. She felt like in her 8 years of studying that she did not even come close to understanding the female anatomy and these kinds of diseases.
No, and it's like you said, the lack of education and the fact that they make us believe that it's normal, that our periods just hurt.
Yeah.
And that's a normal thing, when really, when you're in that much pain every month, it should have registered so much quicker that something was terribly wrong. But we're taught that it's normal and to just deal with the pain.
Yep.
And there's just not enough awareness.
And buck up and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But if this was a men's issue, we all know how that would go. We would have the day off, the week off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, how did you have a career with all that pain going on? Were they understanding?
Yes, very much so. I just knew I wanted to do something more. And I didn't go to college. And so I didn't really know what my path was going to be. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I've always been a creative person and just loved all things events and social media and everything, but I had no clue what I wanted to do. And then when TikTok blew up in the COVID era, I got on TikTok and kind of started building a brand for myself. And then I applied for a job with Come and Go as their social media specialist. And that's when things really started. I had some stuff that I was doing before that. I was like a creative director at a venue um, in Iowa and really was finding my love for events and weddings and all of that. But the social media side was really where like I wanted to be, and I was really good at it. And I just could relate to a lot of people. And so getting my start at Come and Go and growing with them and learning from so many amazing people there. And then having all of those people be so compassionate towards what was going on with my body and my health was really the perfect start to my career in social media.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, like you're like self-made in that way, which is really,
Mhm.
really cool and inspiring, especially for, the up and comers who are deciding whether or not they're wanting to go to college and if it's worth it or not. So that's really
Yeah. And
interesting.
I really thought I wanted to. I went for a semester. It was like, that's where, that's what you should be doing. And there's nothing wrong with going to college. But then I was in like so much pain at that time. And then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And it's not for everyone. And I do like very much pride myself on, advocating that like that doesn't have to be your path.
Me too. I'm
Mhm.
a college dropout 1 year, so I'm with you. You're in good
Hell yeah.
company.
Let's go.
um, but going back to endo, is that like a short-term way to say
Yeah,
it?
no, endo is a word for it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I stumble on it.
Endometriosis is like such a long word. It's like,
Yeah, I stumble on it every time I go to say it. Stumbled on it in the intro. So I'm going to say Endo for the rest of the
yes,
episode.
no, endo is like perfect.
Isn't that word in a Snoop Dogg song, Gin and Juice? Smoking on that endo, sipping on gin and
You're not really
juice.
smoking on that.
Lay back. I don't think he's referring to it in the way that we are, but yeah,
Yeah.
I
Probably
think you're right.
some strain that he's referring to, but like also let me add that strain if that.
Snoop Dogg is an endo advocate, apparently.
Okay,
I can see that for him. I can see
I'm
that.
not I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything, but when you were explaining what it looked like inside of your body and how it kept growing back, my head kept going to Stranger Things, how the vines, like those like things grow on everything and no matter how much they cut off, it just like keeps coming back.
That is what I
That's
feel like.
yeah.
And
That's
trust me, like
crazy.
it's never insensitive. I make jokes about it all the time. Like I was at the bar last weekend and someone was making like some comment. I was like, "Well, I have a broken uterus, so
Well, I mean, that's all you can do, right?
yeah." Like
And
I
I
just
mean,
gotta laugh at it at this point,
after all the years of being in pain and all the hours of surgery, at least it made you funny, right?
Well, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So.
Yeah. But speaking of though, how has living with endo shaped your outlook on life?
Whew. It is definitely put a cloud over it. I will say that. I I made a TikTok a while back that was like it was a trend that was like the devil couldn't get me, but and like I don't know if you guys saw that, but everyone was like listing their like trauma, and the one that I put was that the devil couldn't get me, but he gave me a life my 20s filled with chronic pain. And so it definitely has been a hard thing to deal with. Like my entire 20s I've just been in terrible pain, but I also am incredibly strong because of it, and that is definitely something that I'm proud of. And something I'm working on is more compassion towards others.
And after going through what you've been through, I feel like it would kind of be hard
I'm just so
to,
judgy. I'm like,
yeah.
don't talk to me about your shit.
Yeah, you're like, oh, are you having a bad day, Lexi? Was work hard? Did you go through your 20s in complete pain?
like when I'll be at work or something and someone will like complain about something's wrong, or like that's like work related. Okay, I'll just give an example. And I'm like, okay, well, I dealt with that too, but I also like feel like I'm dying inside as well. So,
Yeah.
So I'm really trying. It really has like clouded my compassion area, to be honest. And that is definitely something I'm not proud of and want to work on, and all that.
We talked about how all you can do is make light of it and like laugh about it at this point. But I mean, I know a lot of your content is about living boldly, and I'm sure it's because of what you've been through as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I want to keep on living the life that I want, even when I'm in pain. Like I will continue to like push myself, because although it's a part of my identity, I don't want it to like completely take over my entire life as much as it already has. Just so I can reiterate like how bad endo is. I had all of that surgery. After that 15-hour one, I had another surgery a week later where they went back in again, and I went septic from that surgery, and then had a month of pain, and now I'm completely back in the same place again.
Oh, so that's so defeating. Hence why
so
there's
we're at
a cloud.
Yep. It's just, it's always there. And I'm like, we're really pushing hard right now to get like more tests done. Like I just had a CT, I'm doing an MRI, and because they think it's hidden somewhere. They think it's like hidden inside of my colon and stuff, like where no one can ever see. And then like they also think I might have adenomyosis, which attributes to that. It's like the sister of endo, where it's endo's inside the muscle of your uterus, and there is no cure for that besides a hysterectomy. So,
and even less research, and
yeah, even less everything. My point basically is just that endometriosis is like the devil of all diseases. It's like listed as like the number 14 most painful disease that like anyone can have, but I even think it's got to be maybe even higher than that. And it's not even considered a disability in the United States.
It's not?
Wow.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's only in women?
Yeah, literally.
Probably.
All right. I know we all have cocktails. I want us to all raise our glass and say, fuck you, Endo.
Fuck you, Endo.
Go to hell.
Literally.
To hell with you.
Literally. Oh my God. I just got that everywhere.
You're like, and I'm going to crack one open to that.
You helped me get through my endo climbing kites.
We love you, climbing
Shout out to climbing kites. We love climbing kites.
And again, like that's another situation where there's being so much more light shined on it, and it's becoming more acceptable and well known. And yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, which I'm so grateful for. Man, it's helpful.
So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in managing your symptoms early on in your diagnosis?
I would say learning to manage my emotions behind it. Because in the beginning, I just wanted to lash out a lot, and I didn't know, I was really young. So you're still developing, but having all those hormonal shifts and being on hormone injections and just all the craziness, plus on top of the pain, learning to manage my emotions was a tough one. And also educating everyone and kind of letting them know what's going on. And it was a really tough transition with my family. They've been incredibly supportive. I could not be anywhere without my parents right now, but it was tough because they had no idea what this endo was. And to a lot of it's invisible, no one can see it. You look like a normal person, but the inside does not. And so that was definitely something to navigate, is working with your friends and your family and your support system, and letting them know how you need support and how, you know, the things that your triggers, because there are stuff that will cause a flare up, and just the education piece and sharing your story over and over and over again with everyone. It was definitely something that took a bit to navigate, for sure. I was not always so open about it. There was a lot of shame, unfortunately, it felt like, behind it. And I felt, you know, I felt like I was broken. I still even do sometimes, but learning to embrace it and know that I do believe there's got to be a purpose behind it. Don't know what that is, but, you know, I can't let the pain go in vain. I just can't do it, because that will send someone down a dark hole, is thinking that there's no reason for it.
Yeah, I think your answer was like an aha moment for me based on your symptoms. Your most difficult symptom to manage was your emotions. And honestly, that was such an aha, because people don't think about the internal piece that's going on. And especially, like you said, it's hormonal. So a lot of it really isn't in your control. And I think as women, we're aware of that. We feel our hormones change a little bit more than men probably. And so, wow, to go through that at such a young age, really, really
It was
intense.
crazy stuff. And then, like, physical symptoms, like the weight gain, was definitely, like, still is the hardest thing to manage. And when you have PCOS, endometriosis, I also have hypothyroidism, all connected. They're all connected. It just caused, like, an extreme amount of weight gain. I did so many diets, tried everything under the sun, and all I was doing was gaining weight. And when you're supposed to be in your 20s and, like, your prime, it's a tough pill to swallow when, like, you're starting to not look like your friends, you can't share clothing with your friends. And finally, there are medicines out now, thankfully, that, like, specifically will help with hormonal weight gain. And I've lost 50 pounds in September.
Woo.
And
Congrats.
Thank you. And I've never been able to lose more than 5 pounds ever, like, in my entire life. And it's come off, like, so managing that, and, like, finally being able to get to a place where I feel like I'm on a path. Because it all attributes, you know, when you're gaining weight, the inflammation, and then the hormone, it's just a giant shit show.
Yeah, you're not changing anything, but I can't even imagine that feeling of, I'm not doing anything different and my body's just bailing me. Wow.
It's a lot of, like, guilt too, because you don't want to feel like a burden, but you need help, and you don't want to ask for help, or you know, it's like, you know, right now I'm feeling especially like looking at having surgery again, and I'm like, I just put all of my family and friends through hell, and I know it was a million times worse for me, but it's a lot to keep asking of people to, like, keep, you know, obviously they want to be there for you, but it definitely is tough to manage that, like, symptom of it.
Yeah, and again, to have to be that open and honest and have that level of communication skills, like, at that age, I'm still learning how to do that in my 30s. And so to do that in your 20s, I can only imagine how hard that would have been.
Yeah, I never would have thought I would be, like, openly talking about, like, my uterus, you know, to
Yeah.
large amounts of people. And, like, especially to, like, my dad, like, he knows, like, you know, everything now, has watched me get hormone injections, you know, all of the stuff has been there for
Yeah.
me, you know, through all of this.
You're an endo warrior. And again, you're normalizing this for people, dads, moms, friends. And so speaking out about it is really cool. And you're normalizing it for other people. So hopefully the next group
My goal.
of girls growing up won't have it as hard as you did, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. I have 6 nieces, and a big thing for me has always been, like, teaching them to, like, you got to watch your body. You got to know what's going on with your body, like, be cognizant of it. And if something's wrong, like, tell someone, and we'll get it figured out, because it starts young. When I first got diagnosed, they were like, I guarantee it started growing on the first day of your very first period, and I got that in 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
gosh.
yeah.
And yes, how can a fifth grader recognize changes in her cycle when
Right.
that's barely regular,
I know, but the awareness of PCOS and endometriosis, because so many people have it, I just want as many people to know about it as possible so that they can at least know to advocate for themselves, to speak up if they think something's wrong.
Absolutely. And this will help them. Okay. On to something a little bit more on the bright side. Fashion. So your outfits are so fun. They're so bold. And I know that living boldly is something that you embody. How has fashion been a tool for self-expression and empowerment in your life?
Well, I have always grown up loving clothes, loving like extravagant clothes too, like formal wear, like it's absurd. But yes, I've always just loved all of that stuff. And so when I kind of started on my like self-love discovery journey, as I would like to call it, as cheesy as that sounds, it was after a breakup. And I was like, you know what? I want to feel good. I want to be cute and not, I want to wear a crop top if I want to. Like, I just was tired of hiding and not getting to wear whatever I wanted to. And I just started wearing whatever the hell I wanted to. And I mean, it literally happened that simple. Like, I went to the store and got a crop top and wore it. And it just kind of elaborated from there. And I've always loved like taking videos and photos. And then so when TikTok came around, I started posting OOTDs and, just showing that you can live boldly exactly how you are. If you want to change, if you want to lose weight, great. If you want to gain weight, great. But you are able to choose exactly the path that you want to be on and who you want to be. And if you want to change it from day to day, do it. When I got that job at Come and Go, one of my interviews with one of their marketing VPs, he was like, how would you describe yourself? And I was like, well, a phrase I like to use, if I'm too much for you, go find less. And that has just always been like my motto, because I'm like, honestly, I don't care. Go find someone else if you're not interested. Like, if you don't, so
I love that.
I say that, actually.
Yeah.
I say that. If someone's like, you're a lot, go find less then. It's
Go
so
find
good.
less, and you'll be less entertained. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm so obsessed that you said that in an interview. The balls. Like,
No, literally.
Did he like
It
it?
was like my oh yeah, we're like
she got
tight now.
hired.
Yeah, I'm gonna send this to Ryan, and I'm gonna be like, you remember that, my guy?
Yeah. I just love it. And if anybody cares, it's only because they're they're thinking about themselves internally.
Yeah, like they're worried about what other people are gonna think, or like, I'm just like, life is too short to be like worrying about what everyone else is gonna think. If you want to be screaming out the window at your friends on Grand Avenue on a Friday night, do it, because then you're gonna go mega viral. Just live your life and live it boldly and live it authentically and just be you
and be ready for the opportunities that come when you do.
When I started embracing who I was, that's when things started to really unfold for me, and all of that was through pain, which is such like a proud accomplishment. I'll do what I have to do to get it done, even if I'm in pain.
Yeah. And it all started with you just being like, fuck it, I'm going to get the crop top.
Yep. The first viral video I ever had was me at like a New Year's Eve party where I was sitting in a bathtub full of balloons, like drinking champagne, which is like the most Erin thing to do. And so like, it just kind of my brand all started with just me. Like, people are like, what do you post? And I'm like, me. I just post me. I don't know. Now I post about the endo and stuff, but really in the beginning, it was just outfits and jewelry and, events and all of the stuff that makes me me.
Yeah, you're like, I can't help it that people like what they see. Okay. I'm just being authentic.
Submit an application.
Is there any certain styles or pieces that make you feel extra confident, even on tough health days? Like, what's your power outfit?
I love a blazer.
Mm.
I gotta be honest. I
Ooh,
love a
that is a power
blazer.
move.
Yeah, I love a blazer. And like now I work at a job that is a little bit more casual, where before I was like a little bit more dressy. So day to day, you know, a cute sweat outfit, like I love a matching sweat, you know, there's nothing better than a matching sweat.
Mhm.
But when I go out, like if I put on a sequins,
Stop.
Game over.
a sequin in a like a silk moment. Like there's an outfit I wore recently. It's like right at like the top of my Instagram. It's an all brown moment, and it's like a satin like brown shirt with like a brown sequin. Oh,
It's
my God.
Gorgina. It is.
Oh,
I think I liked it. I literally can picture the photo in my head right now from
yeah,
like a week or two ago.
one of my faves.
I'm obsessed. So when you're posting online and you have a following on TikTok and Instagram, do people reach out to you and do you receive messages that you're like shocked by?
The Endo especially, and I love that because I had such a hard time finding my doctor, and so I like go to a doctor in Des Moines but then like work with a specialist in Omaha. And the specialists that are in Omaha, they're their like own institution that they created, and so they see people from like all over the country there. Like Mayo, literally Mayo sends their tough patients to this. Isn't that insane?
Wow. In Omaha, and you're right here, so that's
so nice. And so it's like it's kind of a nice location because it's kind of like right in the middle of the country. So I always will have people messaging me about, you know, my doctors and treatments and stuff like that. And so those messages can kind of come in bulk sometimes. Like if I have a video that takes off, like a lot of times the messages will come in bulk, and I love getting them because I love knowing that I'm reaching the target audience that I want to. And we can get some more like attractive men in our DMs. That's cool.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
shameless
Guys.
plug, but I'm single, so
they're not following the
Yeah.
Endo. They're not following the hashtag Endo for some reason. Like, what
But
the
they
fuck?
should.
Like,
Guys.
what, if you want like a really hot, chronically ill girlfriend, you know, you can hit me up anytime.
Yeah.
I'll reply.
And
I mean,
the real ones are following the hashtag endometriosis. So
I was
Yeah.
just going to say, if you're a real man, you
Yeah.
care about what happens inside of our body too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
get with it.
You gotta hit that subscribe button.
Subscribe.
how has your perspective on beauty and fashion evolved alongside your health journey? I think we touched on this a little bit.
I would say I definitely did not used to be into comfort wear. Like I used to be very like I am not a sweats girl, and and like also with the trends, you know, like sweats are very in, like leisure wear is, you know, very trendy right now. But that is definitely something where I'm like, I will go out in a cute sweatsuit, no problem. Where before you would not have caught me outside of the house without sweats. So that in that way definitely has evolved and like learned to like dress for like impending flare-ups or like depending on what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, I love that comfy fashion is so in right now. I prioritize being comfortable lately.
Yes.
It's the best.
Yeah,
Do you
no,
have
it's-
some favorite brands that you go to?
Yeah, Eloquii is my favorite brand ever. They are ranged from like they start at like a size 12, I believe, and go up from there. And they just are the best brand that I have ever seen like execute trendy, like just anywhere, not as much leisure wear, but they do have like some cute sweat sets, but like all the way up to like formal wear. And it's so hard to find as a plus size person. Like it's literally impossible. Target is doing a pretty good job. I do like Target. And I also am a huge fan of Good American. I'm like, Chloe, my
Yes.
girl, you're really
She
eating that
figured
up.
it
I
out.
really love when brands like they just will do it for everyone. I'm like, it's
Mhm.
not, you know what I mean? It's really not a difficult thing.
And I love how on Good American you go on their website and you can view any body type with
Yes,
those
love
jeans.
it.
on it. So no matter who you are, they offer such a variety of sizes. You can see it on someone with a similar body type to you.
It's so good. I do think the Kardashians as a whole have done, which I know like a lot of, there's like a lot of Kardashian hate. I know. But like, I think as far as like inclusivity in their brand lines that they have launched on their fashion side, I think they've done an excellent job, which is something I would have never thought that they would do. Like Skims goes all the way to up to a 4X. Good American now goes up to like a 32. Like, that's pretty impressive. They're a little problematic, but they'd be doing it right on that end.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit of redemption. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not really their biggest fan in the world, but actually, now that you say that, that makes me think twice. All right.
Yeah,
girl.
there are a lot of areas that they could have some improvement for sure. But in that department, I feel like it's often overlooked because they, you know, they edit their bodies so much and all of the stuff that you would think wouldn't line up. But like, you go and look at their sizing at least, and it's pretty. I would love to see more stuff in stores, but that's, you know, that's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah. It's insane to me that that these stores are not inclusive, because honestly, like, us three could do the exact same amount of physical activity, eat the exact measurement of food, and we would all look so different and probably pretty close to what we look like right now, you know?
Yeah, women's bodies are, you know, they're a bitch. Like, they're beautiful, but it's like, Target, get your plus size section in clothes. Can we work on it, please? Because they could use, like, on their website is great. They have so many options. And you go in stores, ass.
Yes, there's like a small little section. It's Ava and Viv, right? And like, their stuff is so cute. And I shop in that section because I am lucky that I can kind of fit into both. So I love Ava and Viv. And you're right. When you go to the store, there's like literally like 2 racks, and it's like, okay.
For whatever reason, when I'm shopping in Target, something will catch my eye and I'll be like, oh, that's cute. And then I'll realize I'm in the maternity section. It like happens every time.
I've bought a million things from maternity. I don't care.
When I was 16,
yeah, I mean, it's fine, but I'm just like, what? Good job, Target.
No, their maternity section pops off. When I was 16, my boobs were so huge that I had to have a maternity swimsuit because none of the other stuff would fit my huge boobs.
What a problem to have.
Well, it wasn't great at 16, but now looking back,
yeah,
it was all right.
Like, it was cute.
So you mentioned that comfort clothes really come in hand when the endo's acting up. It sounds like self-care is implemented in your life a lot just to account for some of that. What other self-care tips do you have for our listeners?
So my number one is gardening. That is something that has tremendously helped me. It's actually like my number one pain reliever, 100%. It helps clear my mind. So if that's something that you're interested in, I definitely recommend checking it out.
You know.
Yeah,
if you know.
I know you guys know.
How are they going to know?
Bass for sure, like any body of water will help lift like everything. It just will like, lifting is the best way that I can describe it, but any body of water, like get in a lake, get in a hot tub, get in a pool, get in a bath, it will help 100%. It helps relax when there's cramping. I love a body of water. I mean, I'm a Pisces, so like I can be submerged at all times. Heated blankets, candles, fragrances. Basically walk into Target and go into the home section, get some comfy stuff, get a blanket, you know, just anything that makes you feel good. Do it. If you need to eat an entire pint of Haagen-Dazs pistachio ice cream, I've been there. Do it.
We all
Ice
have.
cream fixes a lot of things. Yeah.
Just listening to your body, and something that I do specifically when talking about the gardening is I garden with intention. That's my big phrase that I use. So I will specifically like try and get into a certain mindset. If that's like, you know, specifically for pain in that moment, I will get in that mindset. If it's to process emotions, I will get in that mindset. If it's to hype me up so that I'm able to go out and have a good time if I'm in pain, I will do that. So it definitely, that is 100% my biggest advice and tool is gardening.
I love it.
I love the with
Yeah.
intention. I'm actually hearing that a little bit more lately. Is that kind of like a new concept, or am I just old?
No, I don't know. My good friend Abby introduced me to it. I think with intention with anything is good, especially if you're using a substance and just not doing it to like overindulge. Because then I think you're kind of defeating, in my opinion, the purpose of it, the holistic medicine portion of it. I've never heard anyone use the phrase gardening with intention, but I would 100% believe that that is probably something people do. It's very much
You need to
goes
start
with
it.
like
You need to start that. Gardening with intention.
TM, wait, you're mad.
There you go.
And then cuddle your dog, you know?
Yeah.
Or an animal. You
Oh,
just gotta,
puppy snuggles
I
help
know.
with anything
Wait,
as
come
well.
here. Come here right now.
She
Hey,
means
come here.
business, Saint.
Yes.
Hey, come.
Mommy means
You're gonna
business.
go to your place? It's your face.
Oh, there
Hi.
he is. Hi, buddy.
It's your face.
Oh my gosh, what a floofer.
Very handsome.
Yes.
Hi, bud.
There you have it. Self-care, number one being snuggle a puppy.
It's the best.
Those are tips for you.
Yes.
For anyone who has a loved one with endo, do you have advice for them and how they can be there for their loved one?
Yeah, absolutely. Do your research, look into it, join support groups online. Online is a huge resource. Ask questions, ask how you can help, but then also follow through if someone is telling you how they can help. That's unfortunately a huge thing that people can do, is like their intention can be really well and they can ask, how can I help you? But you know, if even if they don't give you an answer, find a way to help. A huge thing for me, and I would believe anyone with endo, especially single people, is bringing meals. Meals is a huge help, especially if they can be like low inflammatory meals, you know, not super high in sugar. That will really help your symptoms. Food can be very healing, and the energy that it takes to cook sometimes alone. Come over, and I have a friend, one of my best friends used to just show up to my apartment and clean. Like literally without asking, he would just do it. Helping in the home, if that is something that you're able to do, is going to go so far, because just existing with endo is draining, and then you have work on top of it. Sometimes you have pets, sometimes you have kids, whatever the scenario is. Just show up. Just show up and do small things. Small things really, really help. You know, flowers are cool, but cook me a meal and forget about it.
It's the way to my heart too.
Yeah,
But that makes
literally.
sense. I mean, all the things that need to get done, but you're in too much pain to do it yourself.
And you're probably
It's just
not going to reach out and ask someone to do that. So just taking the reins, doing it without being asked, obviously respectfully in their home and
Right.
with their
Yeah.
things. But
And even if someone asked, you'd probably say no, because you're an independent woman, but sometimes everyone needs a little help.
You know, and I don't know many people who would turn down like, hey, I want to bring you dinner this week, a few meals, like would Sunday work? I'll just drop it off. Like just just drop stuff off. You know, if you see your friend or just anyone going through a flare up, just drop something off at their door. I promise. And then then it's not a high lift on you, because a lot of times like talking and conversating, it's like it's so much and all you want to do is shut down. Just show up, drop off a meal, send a pedicure gift certificate. Like don't give them an option, because I promise you we already feel like a burden.
wow, that's so important.
Yeah. And it means a lot, you know?
And like you said, that was not hot too. Like I promised they already feel like a burden. Like that was kind of like a mic drop statement in my mind. Like don't ask, just do.
It's hard because, you know, when you see how your disease affects other people, because it does, it's not just a single person that it affects. You know, another piece of advice too is like, if you ever feel drained by your friend or your family member with endo, like imagine how they feel, because I promise you it doesn't compare.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Is there one last message or takeaway that you'd like to leave listeners with about living boldly with endometriosis?
My last little thing is talk to your legislatures about endometriosis. The funding for endo is abysmal. It's really, really bad. So start talking about people. If you know someone with endometriosis, share their story, share their GoFundMe's, get the word out, make a video about them. Connect them with other people. If you know people who are in power, owners of businesses and stuff like that, start advocating for the people that you know with endometriosis. Start spreading the word so that we can get a disability, so that we can get funding, so that workplaces are more accommodating when women need to work from home, and all those sorts of things. So just help be our voice would be my last thing that I would leave you with. I guarantee, even if you don't know, there are a lot of women in your life who have endometriosis, and they need help spreading awareness, and they need help having a voice, because we can't do it ourselves.
Where can listeners find you and learn more about your advocacy, fashion tips, or self-care journey?
Erin, not Karen. On TikTok, that's my biggest platform, and that's where I post most of my content is on TikTok, Erin _not_ Karen, and then of course on Instagram as well, same username.
Awesome. And are there any exciting projects or collaborations that our audience can stay tuned for?
Right now, I'm really just focused on figuring out my next moves health-wise. I'm potentially looking at a hysterectomy, which is a big, pill to swallow for someone not even 30 years old with no kids. So right now, I'm really just focused on my body and not getting into anything big. But I do turn 30 in March, and March is also Endometriosis Awareness Month. So it's kind of fitting. But I am having a pretty big 30th birthday party. I'm having a dirty 30.
Yes.
So I'm very excited about that. I've always, loved my birthday and loved parties. And I'm like, after the year I've had and I'm still having, I'm going to freaking celebrate.
Hell yes.
My 30th birthday was my favorite birthday ever. It's a special one. So I hope you get extra dirty for it.
And we'll have to get a drink sometime before that.
Yeah.
Soon.
So fun.
Yeah. No matter what, we'll keep you posted when I come to Des Moines so we can all get together in real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for your insights and vulnerability and encouraging listeners to spread awareness and support those living with endometriosis. It's such an important topic, and I think we're just touching the tip of this in our time and in our world right now. So I think we're only going to see more and more of this, which is happening because of people like you. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be able to have a platform to speak about it. So I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. And everyone for Wait, You're Mad. Thank you. How do we sign off on this again, Lex?
You guys, our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow episodes every Wednesday on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
And don't forget to follow us on TikTok, which is back for at least for now, and Instagram at Wait, You're Mad.
Bye.